Hi, I'm Jessica Martin, and I am creating this video to hopefully give you a few tips and tricks on setting up your Endnote software to make it easier to use and more efficient. I think Endnote is really key for all medical writers. It really is a huge time saver over having to manually do all of your referencing, especially for anything I'd say over like maybe 10 references. Endnote is super important for that. So the goal of this video is to show you how to get citations into your EndNote library so that they are not being manually entered. They are automatically imported from PubMed or Google Scholar or pretty much any journal website. And then also to show you how to upload a terms list, because that's not automatically done for EndNote, and it's really key to having accurate citations. And I'm making this video because I recently got a new computer and had to reinstall Endnote and reconfigure it, and I realized that it is a lot of upfront work, and I kept putting off doing it, but the more I put it off, the more work it was making every time I needed to do something in Endnote, and I realized how important it is for me to streamline my workflow to do these things. So I think it'll be really helpful for anyone else who wants to use Endnote, and I think that this is probably for someone who already uses Endnote but maybe doesn't feel like they use it very efficiently. This isn't an introduction on how to actually use Endnote. Maybe that's something that I'll do in the future though. And this is all done on a Mac. I assume the process would be pretty similar with a PC. I can't confirm that for sure. I haven't used a PC in about 10 years. That said, I think this will be helpful to anyone who is already comfortable with their Endnote software but wants to learn how to do things more quickly. And like I said, this is really key for my own workflow as a medical writer. So hopefully it's helpful. So the first thing that I do when I'm setting up my Endnote after I install it is I want to make sure that when I download citations from PubMed or Google Scholar or other journal websites, they get automatically uploaded into my Endnote without any extra steps. To set it up, it takes a few steps, but then once you have it, it's actually really super useful. So the way you would do this in PubMed is you would search for something. I'm searching for HTLV, and you would go to Send to Citation Manager and then Create File. And what that will do is create a citation file that is in the .nbib format. And when you click on that and open it, it will either do one of two things. The first is it will open in text edit, which looks something like this. And the second is it will open in, it'll say that there's no file or no applications to open it, and you'll have to select an application. But so for this, it shows it opening in text edit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my downloads folder, and I am going to update the application that it gets opened with. So I'm going to go to Get Info, and then Open With. I'm going to select Other, and I'm going to select EndNote. And then this is really important. I'm then going to select Change All, and that makes sure that all of the .nbib format files will open with EndNote. And then there's one more thing I have to do to get it set up, and this is how it's done with Google Chrome, but pretty much every browser will have this option. And I'm just going to go ahead and click Always Open Files of this type. So this just sets it so that as soon as you download a file of this type, it'll automatically get opened by Endnote. And when it gets opened by Endnote, it means it's automatically pulled into that library. So always open files of this type. So now, if I go to a new article and say, I'm doing my research for some sort of document, and I go to Create File, it's automatically going to get pulled into my EndNote library. If you don't already have EndNote open on your computer, like I don't, you'll have to select which library you want it to go into, but then once EndNote's open, that'll all be automatic. I only have one EndNote library. I think for medical writing, that's all you really need, because we're not using EndNote as a reference management software. You're really using it just to make that bibliography at the end and to make numbering easier. So it's not like you're trying to collect a bunch of citations to make a dissertation or write a bunch of papers that are really similar in the same field. literally the only thing I want to use Endnote for is to make my life easier when I am writing and doing referencing. So that's how you do it for PubMed. It's a little bit different for Google Scholar and other journal websites because they don't download in the .nbib format. They download in .ris format, so you just have to repeat what you've just done. And so in case you didn't see what I just did, I went to Google Scholar and then say I want to add this reference to my EndNote library. I'm going to click on the quotation marks here. And you can download it as RefMan or RefWorks. Either one will download a .ris file. And so you can see it here, and I'm basically going to have to do the same thing I did before. So right now when I click on it, it doesn't know what application to use to open it. So I'm going to go to my downloads, do the same thing, go to Get Info, open with Other, I'm going to choose to open with EndNote, and I'm going to change all. So now, when I'm on Google Scholar, I can do the same thing with another one. Oh, and I have to do, do that with RefMan, and then I also have to do always open files of this type. So now it should be all set up. And you can see it's automatically imported into my EndNote library. And now I don't need to think about this citation until I'm ready to add it into Word, and I'll be able to pull it up by just Googling, you know, any combination of authors, title, journal, whatever. So that's Google Scholar, and then say we are pulling up an article from like the JAMA website. So say you Google an article, and we'll stick with HTLV, something about, what's this find? Transmission of HTLV2 published in JAMA. So say you pull this up and you go directly to the journal website. Almost all journals have a way to download citations directly from their website. So for JAMA, I'm assuming it's right here, cite this. Yep, you can see it is. I want to download it in the RIS format. I have to select that I want it to go into my EndNote library, but other than that, it is automatic. So the only reason it asked which EndNote library I wanted it to go into is because I had exited out of this window on accident. But that is basically how I set up my citations to automatically import into EndNote, and it is kind of a lot of initial work. You have to do, you know, a few steps, but I think this took me about 5 minutes, and it saves so much time down the road, not having to individually open each file that you download, and making this just an automated part of your workflow. So the next thing that I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you how to add a terms list to your EndNote software. This is really key for when you're creating a reference list and making sure that everything looks good at the end. So here's a couple paragraphs, these are actually paragraphs from my dissertation. There are, you can see 9 citations in it, and you can see that some of the citations don't look quite right. So I have this in JAMA style, which is basically AMA style. And you can see that, for example, here, this journal name is not abbreviated properly, it's not capitalized properly, same with class pathogens. So AMA style prefers journal abbreviations and normal capitalization, and these are not right. So you can see all the way down, a lot of these look funny. In fact, I think the only ones that are right are the one-word journal names like Science, Blood, those look good. So the reason for this is because we actually have to upload a terms list into our EndNote that tells the EndNote the names of journals as well as the abbreviations that are accepted. And so you can see here, how I got to this was I went to my EndNote software, I went to Tools, Open Terms List, and I went to my Journals Terms List. So you can see here there are 0 journals in the list. So for some reason, EndNote doesn't come with this automatically imported. However, the software itself does come with a bunch of terms lists, so you just have to import it. So you're going to go to Import List, And then you're going to go to wherever your EndNote files are all saved. So you're going to go to Applications, EndNote, and then here you'll find all these extra files that come automatically with your EndNote, and this is actually what they are for. So you're going to go to Terms, and then you can really probably pick bioscience or medical. I'd probably pick medical, but I don't think it matters which one you pick. So then you're going to upload that. And now you can see 14,476 terms have been inserted into our journal's terms list. So we go back here, you can see all of these different journals now have 2 abbreviations that they choose between. So AMA style will use the second abbreviation without the periods. So now that we have that saved, all of this should be fixed. So let's go to Update Citations and Bibliography. And yep, it's fixed. So now you can see it automatically shortened all of our journal names. It went from that weird Journal of Biological Chemistry to JBiolChem, which is the proper abbreviation. Plus pathogens went down. International Journal of Cancer is now abbreviated. Journal of Virology is now abbreviated. So you can see that just doing that one thing will make your life so much easier when you're going through the reference list at the end to make sure everything's right. And I do strongly encourage you, even if you are using EndNote, to go through your reference list just at least one time at the very end to make sure that everything looks good. And the reason for that is sometimes you'll find that some things are just kind of weird or messed up. Let's see if I can find an example here. No, everything looks good here, but anyways, I would just definitely have everyone go through the EndNote reference list one time before turning in stuff, and having the terms list will make that job so much easier because you're not going to have to go through and manually fix all the journal names. So hopefully this has been helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Also, if you think it would be helpful to do a basic tutorial about how to use EndNote and how to do basic referencing and citation management in EndNote, let me know. I'm not sure how many people actually would need that or use it, so I'd be interested to hear if you think that's something that would be helpful. Thanks for watching. Bye now.